So do I get what you're saying, and is it would be better if you were attempting to a familiar voice identification to have someone who has heard the potential subject here under a variety of conditions as opposed to simply, say, talking to them back and forth in a courtroom or a meeting or something like that?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Okay. And that would be about the best approach you could take given this particular sample?
Yes, sir.
That's the prosecutor, Rich Mantei, and the voice analysis expert, Hirotaka Nakasone, talking about maybe someone who's more familiar with the voices on the tape could testify as to who was screaming. And there are two sets of parents who are involved in this trial, the parents of Trayvon Martin and the parents of George Zimmerman. You don't see George Zimmerman's parents because they're not allowed in court right now. They're going to be witnesses, and their testimony can't be tainted by anything they hear up until now. Not so for the victims' parents, who are both in the courtroom. I want to bring in our CNN legal analyst and criminal defense attorney, Mark Nejame. Mark, this is such a critical moment because we have heard for a year those harrowing screams. And I'm a mother and you're a father. And I mean, look, I could tell you definitively right now, I could recognize my children's screams. But in the supermarket last weekend, I turned my head when someone else's child was screaming and thought it was my own.
Sure. And those are a lot of your paternal instincts, your maternal instincts. And you think you know, but the reality is when somebody gets older, they have their voices changed. And we don't have the opportunity that often to hear somebody with those shrills, those screeching, screaming voices. When do you typically hear an adult go through that? And that's what the doctors were saying earlier, that you can't really replicate that sound when they were having the Fry hearings. How do you really take somebody in that exact setting on the ground, the distance and all that, in order to make that readily recognizable?
Didn't he say he only had a few seconds to work with, 3.5 seconds of an exemplar of Trayvon Martin's voice to work with, and they need somewhere around 30. So isn't science just gone by now?
And that's exactly what the state is doing, and it's very clever of them. They lost that Fry hearing, and that was a cornerstone of their case, to have their expert come in and say that it was in fact George Zimmerman's voice. They lost that. And we predicted that they had to do something to change up their game plan, and that's exactly what they did. Very impressed with it. What they ended up doing is taking a witness who was going to be against them, and now they made it for him. What they are doing is laying a foundation that there is no scientific evidence, but somebody who's familiar with that voice can come in. So you will end up seeing Trayvon.
We have two sets of parents who could say they're familiar. If you have Sabrina Fulton get up there and say, that's my baby, don't you expect that right away, at some point, well, at least when the defense gets its opportunity, they're going to have George Zimmerman's mother and father get up there and say, that's my baby.
That's exactly what's going to happen. And this is the best the state has. This is all they have left. Because
you get
what you get. They're playing the cards that were dealt to them. They have nothing more, so they want to be able to take this situation, make it in the light most favorable for them, and then lay it out to the jury, and then try to play in the
working out well for them last week doing the same thing. But you know what? You don't get to script your case. You take what you have. I got my eye on the live monitor, and you're not missing a thing. I'm going to get a quick break in. These are the moments where you get introductions and some background, but you're not going to miss any testimony. Detective Singleton is the one who is on the little box right there on your screen. We're going to squeeze in a quick break, and then we're going to go right to her testimony the minute she gets to the heart of the matter.